Maybe you've been with me the past 5 weeks and you're wondering, where do we go from here? Well, where we go from here is into a quick review this evening, and then we're going into break week and assessment week. And that's going to be very critical. So if you haven't been doing your assignments up to now, you're going to have a little time to go ahead and do those so that you can be ready for this. So welcome back to another episode of Kingdom Architects. And we're looking this evening into summarizing what we've been doing over the past 5 weeks or so and looking back at the Kingdom Archetypes. And this is very important. I had a conversation today with someone talking about this very subject, how important it is to discover who you are, how you've been made, and what you're here to do so that you can do that properly according to the design that God has already placed in you. And as a young man who spent a lot of years trying to figure it out on my own and wonder how this was going to be done and that was going to be done, it wasn't until I began to really get specific as to my purpose. And when I mean my purpose, why am I specifically created and what I'm specifically created to do? And I can only understand that by evaluating what God had already put in me and tapping into that and then maximizing that and using that to its greatest and fullest potential. And when I began doing that, everything in my life began to really start to make sense now. And then I could really set a path forward and some direction forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a review because if you got questions out there, I want to make sure that I'm addressing those questions for you, giving you some answers and some inputs as to what's happening and what's taking place so that you can better understand what it is you need to start doing in order to align your life with heaven's design for you. So basically, I'm going to look at what we've done the past several weeks and summarize those, specifically those last 3 weeks that we've been in looking at the kingdom archetype to help you locate yourself within the builder identity. So hopefully, as I said before, you've been doing some of the pre-work and the groundwork to understand that so that you can do that so that we can get ready to move into week 4 assessment and activation. And you spent the last 3 weeks specifically with me discovering who you are as a builder. And as I've said before, you probably found yourself in multiple builder types, which is fine. No problem there. We're going to need that information that you have used in order to help you with that. So that's not a problem. And understanding that and using multiple of those as well. But what's going to be specific tonight as we look at what we have already previously done is because hopefully by now the revelation that you are getting about yourself is becoming clearer. But revelation without reflection doesn't produce transformation. Here's why I always like to pause in series like this and do some practical things, do some strategic things so that you begin to actually do the work that is necessary for the transformation to take place. And so, in reviewing your kingdom design tonight, we're going to help you actually start narrowing that in and narrowing that down by reviewing the designs that we've already discussed and talked about, as well as what we're going to be looking at going forward. And if you have been, as I said, following me or following along in the series and keeping up to what we've been doing, so far we have covered six specific archetypes, and I've narrowed those down to six. I said by the time everything is done, I will probably give you a seventh, but I'm not going to put that on to you right now because you probably already got your hands full understanding these six here. And I'm going to be making things a whole lot clearer going forward for you as well. So don't stress yourself. Don't worry about it. If you don't really have a clue right now or much of a clue, trust me, it's going to become so clear as we begin to get into the details of the matter. But if you've been doing the fundamental works that I've been giving you, it's going to be very clean cut to get into the details of the matter. And as we look at these six archetypes in recap, I'm going to just be sharing with you in summary some of them. I can't go back through every one of them, or again, we're back into hours and hours, but we've already covered this, so you already have this information. However, first archetype I want to look at, or what we've looked at in the six Kingdom Builder archetypes, as I briefly summarize them today in just one statement kind of language. Of course, I have a whole build out for you. We've already built out a lot of this information, but there's a whole lot more in your archetype packages as you begin to walk through those. But we looked at the repairer who is responsible for restoring what's broken. And many of us have that particular archetype characteristics in us. We like to fix what's broken. We like to work on things that seem to be broken, whether it be people, whether it be problems, what have you. We all have a tendency to want to get engaged and get involved with that. We also have the reformer. The reformer is the person who realigns those systems into something that is orderly. You might find yourself in a workplace, just rearranging things, rearranging not just the furniture in the office and the layout, but coming in and rearranging systems that don't work, patterns that don't work, documents that don't work, structures that don't work. You may find yourself working and operating in that reformer, which is really great. As I said before, you're going to find yourself in each and every one of these, which is amazing. But there's one specific that you are designed to carry as your primary archetype while being supported by all the others. And of course, we have the gatekeeper, those who protect what's sacred. And this is mainly primarily people who have that spirituality or that prophetic gifting on their life to where they can see things before it happens, and they have an opportunity to guard for that or watch out for that, and they work alongside or closely with the watchman. The gatekeeper and the watchman are kind of dualities that work well together, because the watchman sees and prepares while the gatekeeper guards and protects, and they work in tandem. And let me say this: none of these archetypes work in and of themselves by themselves. They work in groups, they work in patterns, they work in pairs, they work together in teams, or I should say they're designed to. We haven't seen a whole lot of it because not a lot of people out here talking about it or doing it or showing people how to. And I've been one that spent my life discussing purpose and understanding purpose and helping people discover purpose and how to walk in purpose. So I understand this probably more than most, and I understand the importance of all of these particular types working together in tandem to build the kingdom of God. And so we're going to look at those a little more deeply, a little more closely. Additionally, as we talked about the scribe, many of you who have, the gifting and the talent and the ability to scribe and to write and to journal and to catalog, you find yourself just writing things down all the time. You may function as a scribe, those who document the revelation, document the information that they are given, and then the multiplier, those who multiply the next level, who expand and reproduce the things that they are given and how they are given, and bringing all of this together. And each one of these, every one of these is a pattern of grace. And in your assessment packages, you're going to find out how we pair these up and how we match these up, and then how we tap into your talents, abilities, gifts, and skills, because there's a grace pattern that flows through these, and how you best learn to operate in and through them. And together, they all work together to show us how heaven works on earth through people, not just plans. And this is what I believe the body of Christ has missed most of all. They've missed how we're to operate down here as God's people for God's kingdom and on behalf of his kingdom, and not just operate according to the rules and regulations and systems of this world. And this is what church and Christendom and the body of Christ has missed it. They've been trying to operate according to the systems of this world. And it hasn't worked because it hasn't built the kingdom of God. We got to operate according to the systems and the designs and the patterns that God has established, so that we establish his kingdom on earth. And that's the important thing. And so as we reflect tonight on this design and we look at this identity, I want to prompt you that in your architect package, which is already loaded into the classroom, you can download and get that. In worksheet 1 is where this information is contained. I'm going through it tonight for the sake of those who have not partnered with me to become a part of the architect community, who still may want to try to do this on their own. Fine. But I'm here to tell you, you're not going to be able to do this on your own. You're going to need some help. You're going to need a guide, because it's, even though I've given you everything that you need to know how to put it together. And so I help you with that. But you if you want to try to go out there and flutter and flicker and hey, be my guest. But if you want to come on and be a part of the community, I'm going to show you step by step how all this happens. But going through the guide, we're going to look at, first of all, the dominant archetype, which is important because when we're looking at identifying your specific design, we have to narrow it down to a dominant type. And as I said before, this is found in your worksheet 1. And in that, it's going to guide you through what your dominant builder archetype is. As I said before, if you've been building the foundation and doing the work and putting in the work, you already answered those questions. Now you just need to plug this into the spreadsheet. So when you do take the assessment, all you need to do is answer the questions and everything else is going to be done for you. But you're going to discover what your dominant archetype is, and then importantly, what the second one is. As I said before, they always work in pairs. They work in tandem. They don't work in and of and by themselves. Nobody can do it in and of and by themselves. The Bible said that God sent them out 2 by 2, and he called 2 to walk together in agreement. And he said he put 2 and paired 2 together because if one be cold, another one offers warmth. That's found in Ecclesiastes. So God is designed us to work, and this is why in marriage he gives us a mate. He gives us a partner. So none of us is designed to work and walk alone. And even if you don't have a mate or you have a partner, God always assigns somebody in your life to help walk with you through whatever it is. So you're never walking alone, okay? And so you'll understand what your primary is, what your dominant is, what your secondary is. And that primary is what's going to shape your sphere of building. That is how you're going to actually build and how you should be structuring your life and structuring your work and your career. Because, you know, the fallacy of this thing that we've heard, work-life balance, is a fallacy. Life should just be balanced. And when you're doing what you've been created to do, that work becomes your life and your life becomes that work. It's not giving and dedicating your life to some job or something. That's not it. But when you find your God-given work and you're doing that, then it's not a job. It is the work that you've been designed and crafted to do. And the balance is found in doing that. And therefore, in doing that, your life becomes structured. Your way of being becomes structured. Your way of doing becomes structured. Everything around you becomes structured. So it isn't stressful to do it, to operate. But what keeps us from operating and functioning is this way, is that there's a lie. There's a lie that each and every one of us has believed about our role in life. And we have not conformed to the truth that heaven has revealed. And that's through God and through his word. Because before God builds through your hands, he aligns or has to align your heart. But if we believe the lie that we are just created to be beasts down here, a burden to just work for everything and work for a living and all of this foolishness, and not see it as our God gifting to do what we've been graced to do, then life down here does become a dredge. Life down here does become a challenge. Life down here does become a bore. But we're not intended to live that way. We're not intended to function that way. We're not intended to operate that way. We are intended by God to operate specifically according to the design that he's placed in each and every one of us. And that design is found innately in our DNA. Our DNA, if we get the proper people to scientifically review it, they would find the pattern of our life in it. If we can get away from all the medical manipulation that is happening and taking place, and this is why it's happening and taking place, to keep the revelation and the knowledge from people of knowing that God has encoded and embedded each and every one of us with a specific duty, purpose, function in the earth. And those in the medical and the scientific arena knows that. This is why they create so much counterintuitive things to keep you from discovering that, keep you on drugs, keep you high, keep you drunk, keep you sexed up, keep you full with the TV and the media and all that kind of stuff. So you don't tap into the being that lives on the inside of you. And so the activation I'm after for you and for your life is to help you now move from that place of not knowing to knowing. And so the activations now begin to draw that up in such a way to where it now begins to make sense. Again, this is found in your worksheet activities. You do these exercises, and if you do these exercises, you're going to discover them. And they guide you through things such as choosing Just one sphere, because you can't do it all and you can't change it all. You can't, renew it all at one point. You have to choose one specific sphere that you're going to start in, and the other ones you can add to it. So your family may be the place right now that's just out of order and in disarray that you need to focus on. Your money, your finances. If you're in ministry, it may be the ministry God has called you into. It may be the mindset. Maybe your mind is keeping you from doing what it is you need to be doing. Maybe it's the marketplace, the workplace, the career. But you have to pick one that you're going to purposely function on and work on, and the others will begin to come into being. The others will begin to come into play. But if you don't focus on one and you try to focus on them all and fix them all at the same time, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not going to be an easy task at all. It's going to be a most challenging task. You have to start one place and do one thing. And if you do that, then what happens is when you shore up that one area, the other areas begin to fall in line and fall into alignment. And as I said before, when I'm working with you, this will make more sense. But as you're going through this, you're going to describe what the current situation of just that one area is. As I said before, you can't work on all of them at one time. You pick out one, you're going to describe what that current condition is on that. Then you're going to write it down, and then you're going to write down how it should look according to heaven's design, which means you have to get into the word. You have to understand more about what God said it should be and how it should be. If it's family, God has already told us how family is to function and operate. God has already told us how every specific area of our life is supposed to function and operate. We haven't always believed it. We haven't always operated according to it. We let other things dictate how and if and when. But that doesn't negate the fact that we already have the information, the revelation knowledge on how to do it properly and correctly. And when we do, then we can do this next thing. We can take one step of obedience to move forward in it. What's that one thing I'm going to do with family? What's that one thing I'm going to do with my money? What's that one thing I'm going to do with my career and job? What's that one thing I'm going to do with my mind? We have to take action toward it if we're going to see change to it. Okay? I know I'm going through this pretty quickly, but I said this is for the sake of those who are out here and want to try to do it themselves, don't want to be a part of the community. In the community, we go step by step through each and every one of these. And so when you're going through and you're doing these, you're going to have to ask for some help and ask for some assistance. And so you ask God to show you how to use this one area and what's already in your hand. You're not trying to do something outside of yourself. You only want to use what you already have. And you ask God, what do I already have that I can begin doing this work with? And that's the inventory piece. And as we're going through the inventory piece, what we're looking at is we're looking at assessing what's already in us, the resources that we already have. Because oftentimes people think they can't do anything because they don't have money. It ain't about money. It ain't about needing money to do anything. We have already so much in us and so much in our hand and so much already in our mind and in our structure that we got more than enough to get the work done. We don't need necessarily to start off with finances. So I don't want you to think money is the issue why you can't. And if you begin taking the inventory and listing what's in your hand, it could be a skill, it could be an idea, it could be a person somebody's already put into your life, it could be a tool or a resource or a message. Whatever it is, that is the thing that you're going to start building with and building upon. And as you do, you want to ask God to show you, how do I now take this to the next level? What do I need to do? How do I move forward with this? How do I activate this? How do I step into this? And as you do, things begin to actually become clearer. And when they do, you find yourself now with a tool bag. And if you've been around me, many of my students already know what I mean by a tool bag. You find yourself with many things in the arsenal already that you can already start doing. You can already start walking out. You can already start living out. You can already start accomplishing without needing much more of anything else. That's your tool bag. It's already in your tool bag. It's already in your structure. And so in operation mode, as we begin to move to the next phase of that, we begin to understand what our level of functioning is. And I call this the Craftsmanship Reflection. This section of the assessment looks at your craftsmanship, your level of operational capability and capacity. And this is very key and very important. And I've broken it down into three major levels of craftsmanship. And these craftsmanship are found in the apprenticeship, which is just the learning and discovery phase. Some of you, because this is new, this is the first time you've taken a journey such as this, you may find yourself in the discovery phase, which is fine, which is quite okay, because you will move into another phase very quickly once you begin operating. Everybody has to start somewhere, and if you've never started walking down the path of who you are and what you've been assigned while here on earth, then it's all new to you. You may be what you may think is the bottom, but it's not the bottom. It's just your starting point. So you may be in the learning and discovery phase, or you may be in what I call the journeyman phase, to where you are already consistently doing some things and you need refinement. You just need refinement on the things that you're doing because you're still uncertain in certain areas. You're still unclear. You still don't really know how to maximize everything that is within you, every gift, every talent, every ability, every skill. You may just be still figuring it out as a journeyman. And then there may be others who are functioning at a mastership level, which is leadership and reproduction. And this comes after years of not just education and training, that is a piece of it and a component of it, but it's actually years of operating as your primary and secondary archetype, that you become master at it, you become skillful at it, you become not just learned at it, you now become skilled at it, to where it now provides for you, provides for your life, provides for your family, provides for your well-being. That is the master craftsman level. And when you're operating at that level, there are expectations on you at that level to reproduce your works, your being, your doing. Everything that you're doing should be reproducible at that level. And if it is, then what happens is now you begin to create others similar to you that's able to function in these same capacities as you. So when you're gone and you're off the scene, the work doesn't stop. The work doesn't quit. The work continues on because you have reproduced it. And we talked about this in our last time we were together. And what happens is, when each level best describes where you are operating right now in that archetype. Doesn't mean that's where you're going to always be. Doesn't mean you're never going to change. You're going to evolve. You will. But it's my job is to help you identify where you are right now, and then help you create a path on how to get to the next level. And in my assessment too, all of that is built in there. It's going to give you instructions on what you need to do to get to the next level, how you need to operate, how you need to function, what skills you need, what more talents you may need to add to your tool bag. It's going to help you. So I've taken the guesswork out. And as I said, this has been years and years in the making, and in the study and in the research, and the technology today has just made it available to get it out and to do it. But each one of these levels is going to help you now begin to function. Think of it like this, and just imagine this for a moment. You're in a job or you're in a career, and you're not quite sure how to get to the next level. And you've been operating at a certain level for so long, but the job isn't very helpful. The supervisor isn't very helpful. The material that they give you isn't very helpful for helping you. Yeah, they've laid out a career path and all that stuff for you, but nobody's actually guiding you through the process of what you need to do next to get there. Well, what if you had a guide that could take you through that step by step and tell you what you need to do at next step to get to the next step? So when you go back to work, you start just operating, you start just functioning, you start doing it. And now those who you've been asking or who've been watching now come to you and says, man, we see you ready for the next level. Here's the raise, here's the promotion, here's the extra money, here's whatever it is, because you have now begun to tap in to not just how to get to that level, you start doing it at the level that you are on. And this is what I learned in working in career and in corporate America and in ministry and all the things, mastering my craft to where my work, as the Bible said, that your gift make room for you and bring you before great men. And in that bringing before great men, they begin to recognize and acknowledge what's in you, and they promote you without you ever having to ask for a raise, for a promotion, for a next dollar, or any of that, because you're already operating as if you were already on that next level. Hopefully that makes sense in that analogy. There's more I'll share with you on the inside. So In quick closing right here, as I wrap things up and go take care of some other stuff on the live site, because I got to go meet with some people who are going to log in a little later on the live site to do some of this work with them firsthand. I want to just say a couple things. Is that, you spent the last 5 weeks with me, 6 weeks with me, and specifically the last 3 just talking about archetype. You've uncovered, hopefully, somewhere in there your divine design. You don't know all the details, don't have all the information, and you're not expected to. And hopefully you've sketched out this in the blueprint. If you've been doing the work and doing the exercises and the worksheet, it's a blueprint. It's already a pattern that you've been creating to put together. Now it's time to see where you are, to measure that growth and prepare for the activation phase, to prepare for you to start going out and doing it. Because once we identify it, you can immediately go out and start doing it. You don't have to wait any longer. You don't have to question any longer. You don't have to wonder any longer. You can just immediately go out and start doing it right now, today, as soon as you get done, because you're going to have the information like that. Guesswork is taken out. So you won't have any excuse except for the one that you continue to create for yourself. But you will have everything that you need not to have an excuse. So for those of you who've already signed up for the Kingdom Builder Architect community, great. I've already greeted you there, already set your class up, already got you going, and that wonderful. Want you to join me over there after I go black here on YouTube. We're going over there live. I'll see you over there. And we're going to continue this in what I call the practicum. We're going to actually do some work tonight. But if you haven't signed up, if you haven't become a part of what we're doing, then it's an opportunity for you to get off the couch, get in front of the TV, and do something. And this opportunity is first and foremost, as we started off in week 1, is if you want to take this journey, you can't just come in and start architecting. You can't just come in and just start building. If you haven't designed, if you haven't blueprinted, if you haven't planned, you can't just go start erecting the building. And I have a check in place to not allow you to do that. Your first step is going to be to go back and do the blueprint. You have to begin your blueprint, and that is the discovery of yourself. I'm asking you deep questions about you, what you need to do, where you are, those type of things, because you've got to do that research first. You can't just jump in and start building the building. So if you haven't done it yet, you can go out to ingram.com/blueprint, download that guide, and start working on that. Once you've done that, then you will get an invite to the private community. If you just try to jump into the private community, I have a check in place. It's not going to allow you in. And I did that specifically because I can't just allow you to jump into 6 weeks and you've missed the first 5. It just won't work for you. It won't happen for you. You have information with no revelation. And information with no revelation does not lead to transformation. I have to make sure you get revelation with that information so that it leads to transformation. So I can't just let you jump in there. So go do that first and do that. And once you do, then we will take next steps with you. But what we're going to be doing, or what's going to be happening, is we're going to be taking a break, or at least I'm going to be taking a break for the next couple of weeks. Not that I won't be doing some teaching and some other things. I'll be taking a break from this series for the next couple of weeks so I can work with people on their blueprints and work with them on their design plans so that we can move them along while the next group comes along and we work with you. And then we'll be back in a few weeks and we'll pick up at week 4. And week 4 is actually going to be activation and implementation and assessment. So we're going to do that because this is where we move from just clear reflection to refinement. I'm looking to refine what you have began and refine that and hold that. So if everything works out the way that I'm planning and intended, you won't have to make a New Year's resolution. Your new year will be kicked off in such high gear because you will be in such high demand. You can start going out here and functioning immediately and start seeing results. Because we don't have a whole lot of time to keep playing. We don't have a whole lot of time to keep wasting. We got to get the work done, and we got to get it done quickly. All right? But listen, I hope this little recap and review help you. The notes is here. The chapters will be in the video later. The information there, you've got the screenshots. You know what you need to do, how you need to do it. I'm praying now that, God will help you just to do it. and that you will follow that help and just go out and start getting it done. If you're not willing to work, if you're not willing to put in the work, you're not willing to set aside the time, you're not willing to put in the effort or expend the energy, I'm sorry, I won't be able to help you. I won't be able to work with you. You can try to do this on your own, and that's wonderful and that's fine, but I won't let you be a consumer of my time if you're not willing to invest yours and put in the work. So you must show me that you're willing to invest your time, your efforts, your energy, and put in. I haven't asked you for $1. So right now, you're able to get in at no cost. And if you don't get in now when it's at no cost, then when I do put a price tag on and put a cost, because I'm no longer here doing it live, it's all recorded, it's all packaged and put together, and you go out there and make it happen. And I don't want to hear anybody complain about how expensive it is, because I've been here for 6 weeks so far, and it's already been hours of my time, hours of not just here on cam, but also the work that I put in after hours. My wife would tell you, I'm here pretty much locked down on this computer for hours, putting in work, packages all up, put together, because I believe in this so much because of what it has done in my life over the years. I was sharing with some people at dinner tonight. They was asking me some questions just about me, trying to get to know me and understand me, and they were just really blown away as to how much, I've done in my life and career. All the glory and credit belongs to God, because he showed me how to tap into this. I didn't have any teachers and men to empower me along this journey. This is stuff that I had to learn through sometime hard knocks and hard lessons and life lessons and challenges. But I was able to bang it out and work it out and fix it out and eventually figure it out and tap into the pattern of what I believe God has for every human being here on earth to function as. And I want to share that with you. So as we close, I pray that, God would help you, help me, help us to understand our divine design and tap into the pattern of our life. Father, I thank you that you have patterned each and every one of us according to a specific design. This is why every one of us is unique. None of us have the same imprint. None of us have the same fingerprint. None of us have the same DNA. Father, you've made each and every one of us wonderfully and uniquely made and designed. And that cannot be by accident. It cannot be by happenstance. It has to be by specific design and purpose. Help us to know what that is and to tap into what that is, to understand what that is, and to begin doing it, because you placed in us so much greatness and uniqueness. There is no excuse why we shouldn't be better than we are. I pray that you would teach us how to build according to wisdom and instruction, and lead us with love and compassion as you have. Help us to complete what has begun in us. You say, he that began a good work in us is faithful to complete it even till the end of days. I pray that what has began and been started in us will be completed in our day and in our time. I thank you and praise you. Thank you for those that are here. Pray for those that will come later. Pray for those that will come and tap in long down the line, that they too may begin to experience what it is you put on inside of each and every one of us. This is my prayer. I pray the Lord bless us and keep us and make his face shine upon us and be gracious unto us and grant us his everlasting peace and shalom. Until next time he bring us back together, may he watch between us while we're apart. Until next time, take care. God bless. Peace and blessings. Shalom. If you got any comments or questions, leave them down there or contact me and I'll be sure to address it. See you all again next time. Those going to the private community, we'll see you over there in just a bit. Take care. God bless and bye for now.